All right, welcome back to another After Dark, everyone. Hopefully you caught part one of this earlier today, because we're going to do part two by this video from Secret Base. This one is titled Veteran Scottie Pippen Beefed with the Bulls because winning on a cheap contract stings. So it's part two of a two-parter. The first part was really cool, and it just ended in their first repeat, and then Scottie was leading the team without MJ, and things are about to get kind of screwed up again because it led off with when he quit on the team during the Knicks series. And yeah, there's going to be a lot more tension in these next 3 years. So anyways, as always, I'm going to link the original video down below if you want to check it out without my commentary. Secret Base is awesome. I love their content. So if you haven't subscribed over to their channel, I highly suggest you do. For everybody else, please leave this video a like. It helps me out a lot. And yeah, without further ado, let's wrap this up, huh? Let's do part two.
A banner with Scottie Pippen's retired number hangs in the rafters of Chicago's United Center. An honor bestowed to few, it memorializes Pippen's invaluable role in the Chicago Bulls organization. It gives his legacy a home. But that banner doesn't really tell the whole story. Banners rarely do. This one in particular leaves out the role Pippen and the Bulls themselves played in a very large, very stinky pile of beef. The summer of 1994 was the first time in a long time that the Chicago Bulls didn't get to spray celebratory champagne at each other. After winning 3 championships in a row, they finally fell. Mostly because Michael Jordan had retired.
Yep.
In his place, Scottie Pippen stepped up as team leader. And while Pippen didn't win him another ring, he defied expectations and had himself a solid season.
Absolutely. Hands down, despite any criticism I may ever have, the Bulls still looked pretty good. They just didn't have that deadly assassin that they needed. But Pippen had the team working well together. That's why him quitting against the Knicks was so bad. He was clearly the team leader. He was like the heart of the team that season, and he did a great job. But then right at the end there, man, I still can't believe he did it. And I still can't believe to this day he says if he had another opportunity, he'd do it again. Like, shit.
He was even All-Star MVP. And now, just days after being eliminated in the Eastern Conference semis, Pippen let it be known he wanted to renegotiate his contract. He was one of the best in the league, and next year he was set to be paid like the 91st best player in the league.
Yeah.
So, hey, Bulls management, why not negotiate?
And 100%. I know he signed a deal, and that was his own fault. But still, when you got somebody as valuable as Scottie Pippen on your team, dude, you throw him some more money. Like, they did him dirty. Yes, legally, Scottie Pippen did sign that contract, so he screwed himself. But, man, if you value somebody enough, you go, okay, you know what? You made a mistake. Let's do the right thing here. Renegotiate.
Well, there are actually a lot of answers to that question. Sure, Pippen played well in '94, but he also badmouthed GM Jerry Krause all season long for not getting him more support, implied Bulls fans were racist, and cherry on top, just a few days before asking for more money, he sat out the last 1.8 seconds of a tied playoff game because Phil Jackson called the play for someone else.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Okay, you got me there.
Read the room, Pippen. You're not getting a raise. In fact, the way Krause wanted to move forward was waving goodbye to Scottie Pippen. After all the drama of the '94 season, Krause nearly dealt Pippen to Seattle for Shawn Kemp. But the Sonics called it off at the last second. Kemp was a fan favorite among a particularly supportive fan base. Pippen was blindsided and angry. Krause's defense? He wasn't actively trying to trade Scottie, but he wasn't going to ignore offers that came across his desk either.
And to be fair, he's insulted at this point, so they're pissed off at each other. Scottie said a lot of stuff in the media, and I mean, I kind of get it. I'm not a Jerry Krause fan, but I get it. I get it. You know, he's thinking Tony Kukoc is going to be the future. Let's get him some help with Sean Kemp. You know, we got a solid base around us. Why not?
This doesn't quite line up with Seattle's accounts, but Pippen didn't need to split hairs over who started trade talks to be deeply hurt. The rest of the offseason was chock full of Pippen trade rumors, but none of them materialized. I guess it's hard to get a fair deal for one of the best guys in the league. Plus, the Bulls had just lost a chunk of their core. Perhaps they were wary of starting from scratch. So, Pippen was their guy. For better or worse. Like on December 27th, when Pippen got ejected and the Bulls lost to the 3-23 Clippers.
Ouch.
At home.
Oh, yeah. This second season without Jordan was terrible. Literally everything that happened after Pippen quit on the team was just miserable. A lot of people don't like to talk about it, but there's a reason why Jordan had to come in and save the day. And yeah, it still took a year to accomplish it and rebuild, but they were in bad shape this season.
Causing their record to hit 500. Compared to 3 years of trophies and 1 year where they were still in contention, the 95 season felt like the Bulls were plummeting off a cliff.
Yep.
And Scottie, their leader, wasn't about to take responsibility for that. The next day, he blamed Krause for letting the team fall. He didn't put enough talent around Scottie. He didn't make an effort to keep Horace Grant. And by the way, he's a liar. Scottie didn't buy that whole "we weren't seeking a trade" line.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to get a raise like this, though. I have to stand true to this part. You don't you're likely to get fired for this. So traded, whatever, not re-signed, whatever comes first. In this case, would be traded. You can't just do this. And Scottie was relentless with this.
Now, Krause's dishonesty didn't necessarily contribute to the Bulls' on-court woes, but it certainly bothered Scottie, so why shouldn't he get that off his chest too? Maybe because it would serve as the straw that broke the camel's already fairly fucked up back. Krause took particular offense at being called a liar.
Yeah.
For Krause, this was the end of any semblance of a relationship between him and Scottie Pippen. So what was Krause to do? Maybe he could trade him, but in the meantime, he could definitely be petty. A few weeks later, Krause had Pippen's agent kicked out of the tunnel near the locker room. And what's that noise? Do you hear that? It sounds kind of like an injured camel? Kicking out his agent was the straw that broke Pippen's camel's back. The next day, he demanded a trade. Or Krause's firing. Bull's choice. Pippen didn't even care if he went to a bad team. He just wanted to get away from Krause.
Yeah.
Who,
It's
by
pure hatred at this point.
the way, he more than hated.
There it
About
is.
a month later, during All-Star Weekend, Pippen hadn't backed down from his trade demand and was actually more brazen. On live TV...
What did he say there? Hopefully this is not my last All-Star game, but hopefully it was my last as a Bull. Damn, man. And then this continues on until the end.
TV, in a relaxed and thoughtful manner, he said even a new contract couldn't keep him in Chicago.
I want to go and play somewhere else. I think the franchise and the team has changed since I've been there, and I think it's a time for a change for me.
But here's the thing. Pippen was still really good at basketball. Krause got a lot of offers, but none of them were good enough to replace such talent. The trade deadline came and went, and Pippen was still a Bull. Scottie responded by putting his foot down even harder. He wanted to be traded over the summer, and if he wasn't, he'd retire.
Damn.
At age 29. That's how far this had gone.
Technically, correct me if I'm wrong, though. If he did retire, that ends that contract, correct? So if he got out of that contract by retiring and then unretired later on, he could sign for any team he wanted to, right? Am I tripping? Am I wrong on that, guys?
Pippen hated the Bulls too much to play for them again, and nothing could change and only one thing could change his mind. Michael Jordan was returning to the Bulls with a month left in the 95 regular season.
Yep.
Which mollified some of Pippen's complaints.
Yeah, he asked for him. I'm surprised they're not showing the Jordan shoe where he's pointing and saying, "Come back."
Now there was enough talent around Scottie. Now the team wasn't plummeting. They weren't good enough to win another ring yet.
They were contenders right off the
Jordan
bat.
said he was coming back for the 95-96 season. That was promising. Oh, and Jordan said something else, too. He wanted Pippen to return with him. Management wasn't going to try and trade Scottie after the best player in the NBA said he wanted him.
For real.
And Pippen, with a very real chance at a fourth ring, decided he could put his hatred of Krause on the back burner for a while. With Dennis Rodman added to the mix, the Bulls won 72 regular season games in 1996. And that put everybody in a real good mood. In the postseason, Krause made some nice comments about Pippen, who was playing injured. But don't worry, we get more beef soon. Not right away. Right away we get a fourth championship. Hooray! Now that that's out of the way, it was time to beef again. In the 96-97 season, Pippen was making $2.25 million, which sounds like a lot of money, but compared to the rest of the league, it was not. Scottie Pippen, regarded as one of the best all-around players in the game, number 2 on the most dominant team of the decade, was the 128th highest paid player in the league.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I know. I wish he didn't sign that contract. I'm looking around. Don't get this mistaken. This is rookie Allen Iverson, okay? But look at these other names on the list. Yeah. He was getting paid the same thing as John Sally at this point. Dude, John Sally played like 2 minutes a game. Actually, probably less than that. He like almost never played at this time. He was also on the Bulls roster. Pippen should be getting paid a lot more than a John Sally any day of the week.
He was the 6th highest paid player on the Bulls, and he made $27 million less than Michael Jordan.
Oof, Luke Longley making more than him hurts.
Why was Pippen so underpaid? Well, that has to do with the NBA's salary cap, and it's a little bit complicated. Let's think of the salary cap like a box. The league basically says you can fill this box with money and use that money to pay your players. You don't have to use all the money, but you can. And teams trying to entice the best players likely will use all the money in their box. Now, in 1996, the league said, you know what? TV ratings are soaring. We're giving everybody a bigger box. Fill that sucker with money and use that cash to lure your favorites. Teams didn't get bigger. The money was still divided up among the same amount of people. So, that meant everybody signing after 1996 was getting more money. But Scottie Pippen signed his contract back in 1991.
Yep, that's why they told him not to do it.
Box was tiny. Relatively. Let's just ignore the fact that we're dealing with millions and millions of dollars for a second. Okay, so the box was tiny in 1991. Pippen got a large fraction of that 91 box money, but it is an infinitesimal fraction of the 96 box money.
Real quick for perspective, just think about it. In 1996, the entire salary cap was $23 million, and then think about somebody like Bradley Beal making $51 million next year just by himself. Crazy what's happened.
Even less of the 97 box money. When you realize just how underpaid Pippen is, he doesn't seem whiny. He actually seems sort of magnanimous for shutting up about it to focus on that fourth championship. But in December of 1996, he was done shutting up about it.
Yep.
He was tired of the disrespect from management and wanted out. And it kind of made sense for the Bulls to trade him. Pippen's contract ended after the following season, and he's definitely gonna walk in free agency. So why not trade him and get something in return? Or, as Pippen explained it, I'm probably the most tradable player on the team. Ray Charles can see that. Nothing against Ray Charles. Pippen has a flair with quotes. Oh, also, the Bulls had a wonderful season and won a 5th title, so that was nice. Not nice enough that Krause felt like spending more time with Pippen. He was ready to trade him for youth and start rebuilding. Over the summer, Krause nearly traded Pippen to the Celtics for early draft picks. He had his eye on promising high schooler Tracy McGrady. The only reason the deal didn't go through was because Jordan wanted Scottie.
Can you imagine young T-Mac and freaking MJ?
Jordan didn't want to rebuild. He wanted another ring. Who wouldn't?
Oh, yeah,
After
for
all
sure.
his trade demands, you might think Scottie would be disappointed he wasn't headed to Boston. But actually, he was just kind of pissed Krause was going to send him to a bad team. Boston only won 15 games in 1997. Yeah, he said he'd go anywhere a bunch of times, but that was in the past. I don't know what to tell you. It might be hard to make Scottie Pippen happy.
Fair.
While all this was going on, Pippen needed foot surgery after getting injured in the Eastern Conference Finals. But he didn't get surgery right away. He traveled to New York for a second opinion and charged the Bulls for a private plane to do so after they told him to fly commercial. Then Krause sent Pippen a letter threatening to fine him if he played in the annual Scottie Pippen Ameritech All-Star Classic charity game. He couldn't risk further injuring his foot. Pippen didn't appreciate being bossed around, nor that the GM's message was delivered via an impersonal letter. And the forward turned vengeful. Pippen didn't end up having the surgery he needed until after training camp began.
Yeah, and now is where the hatred starts bleeding into affecting people. It shouldn't, because this sucked for MJ. Coming back, after back-to-back championships on this third year. And now Pippen is just getting surgery as the season starts. And then he's got to nurse himself back to health throughout the season. And he was never 100%. Then he had back problems at the end of the year. 98 Pippen wasn't Pippen anymore.
Thus ensuring he'd miss a chunk of the 98 season, and the Bulls' path to a sixth championship would be more difficult. Some thought Pippen purposely delayed surgery to stick it to Krause. This is hard to prove, mostly because Pippen has denied it, and also admitted it. While Pippen was out, the Bulls struggled. They clearly needed him. Fans were annoyed, teammates were annoyed, Krause was annoyed. But Pippen just saw opportunity for beef. With his value to the team made so obvious, he was emboldened. On a road trip in late November, Pippen...
A little bit of context, by the way. So, where was it? Okay, so it started out like this, but basically MJ had to have Dennis Rodman step the hell up. And Dennis Rodman started stepping up in that place to be his number 2 guy. And they actually started winning a lot of games. So by the time Scottie Pippen did come back, they were looking pretty good. Did they need Pippen? Hell yeah, they did. But this doesn't tell the story here.
He was emboldened. On a road trip in late November, Pippen was a little drunk on the team bus, and also Jerry Krause was on that bus. According to Pippen, he lost his temper and shouted things like, "Stop taking credit for drafting me," at Krause. But there's evidence his shouting was way worse. So bad people don't repeat specifics.
Damn.
And as the papers revealed the following morning, Pippen hadn't just let loose behind closed bus doors. He had once again publicly demanded a trade, but doubted it would happen because Krause was chicken.
Jesus.
He said he wouldn't come back to play with the Bulls this season, even if he was healthy. And actually, he might already be healthy? Was he just sitting out to piss off Krause?
I like to do it in front of Krause. Damn, I'm running, I'm jumping, dunking. I like to do it in front of Krause. Like he's just taunting him. This is... Man, I told you guys. The second part's going to get sick.
Already be healthy? Was he just sitting out to piss off Krause? Management brushed off Scottie's comments as unserious, nothing to worry about.
Excuse me.
Maybe he didn't even really want to trade. But the public was not so forgiving. Nobody even cared that Pippen's contract was unfair anymore. He's still getting millions. In the days that followed, Pippen walked back his position, and in mid-January, he rejoined the team on the court. With Pippen, Chicago had a resurgence and soon found themselves back in the NBA Finals. In Game 6, Pippen was struggling with back pain and spent the majority of the first half in the locker room getting treatment. Krause was in the locker room as well and saw how much pain Pippen was in and the aggressive treatment he was enduring to get back on the court. In the face of such dedication, some of the hatred in Krause's heart melted. And when Pippen returned to the game, he didn't play like he was hurt. Watch this. With 7 minutes left, down 1, Pippen just kept setting screens until his team got the open shot. He sacrificed his body for the Bulls' 6th championship in 8 years.
Yeah, he played the ultimate decoy. I mean, he couldn't go out there and contribute in numbers, so he couldn't jump per se. So, like, shooting off the table, rebounding off the table, solid defense was off the table. But he could be out there and be a decoy, and he did it very well because that's all they needed. You know, he gets the ball, there's some attention on him. That's all they needed, you know, and go out there, set some screens, do whatever the hell he can do. I give him props for doing that. Jordan basically begged him to do it. Like, just stay out here. I don't care what you do. Just stay out here. You know, just be on the floor. That's better than you being in the damn locker room. Like, just be out here. And it worked. Jordan had to elevate his game to a crazy level. I think it was 45 points in that game 6 to clinch the series. But whatever, you know, like, he needed that little bit of juice out of Pippen.
Worth it, I'm guessing. With the conclusion of the 98 season, Scottie Pippen's insulting contract was finally over. There were some rumors the Bulls would offer Pippen a new contract. If MJ wanted to go for another title, they'd need Scottie. But that's not what happened. The old gang broke up, and Chicago was eager to rebuild. Just before the lockout-shortened 99 season began, Pippen was off to Houston in a sign-and-trade deal. He finally got his payday. And actually,
62 mil. How many years was that?
Krause helped Pippen get that staggering payday. By signing him and then trading him, Krause guaranteed Pippen would get $20 million more than if he just signed a new contract with a new team. Krause called the sign and trade a going-away present for Scottie. But
I mean, that's kind of cool. I'll give him that.
It's not like he did it out of the goodness of his heart. If the Bulls just let Scottie walk away in free agency, they wouldn't get anything in return.
Yeah.
This way, at least they got a couple of guys.
Okay, wait. 5 years, $67 million. Okay, yeah. Yep.
Nonetheless, Scottie was grateful to Krause. Krause passed away in 2017.
Funny what money does. It's funny what money does. Perhaps Jerry wasn't such a bad guy after all. Damn.
Nonetheless, Scottie was grateful to Krause. Krause passed away in 2017, and his obituary cited drafting Pippen as one of his greatest accomplishments.
Wow.
He found Pippen at mid-sized NAIA school Central Arkansas and made a deal on draft night to secure him for the Bulls. Pippen expressed gratitude for Krause's scouting in his autobiography published in 2021. In his book, Pippen also admitted some fault, or perhaps some regret, that he was so hard on Krause for all those years. After all, it was owner Jerry Reinsdorf who had been pulling the strings. Maybe he should have been the target of Pippen's wrath.
Yeah, the owner, at the end of the day, gets to overrule anything.
But Pippen also wrote there isn't one word of Jerry Krause criticism that he'd take back. Not liar, not chicken, not whatever he said on the bus. So it's not like Pippen totally forgave the guy. After a stint with the Rockets, Pippen headed to Portland, then found himself back with the Bulls in 2003 at age 37. Krause had retired, but Pippen still had the weight of nearly a decade of Bulls beef on his shoulders. For there to be gumdrops and rainbows on the second go-round, Pippen either had to be willing to shed his hurt, or the Bulls had to somehow make up for it.
And this is when I remember Jalen Rose talking about this, because he was still young and super excited that Pippen was there. But the conversation was as simple as this. He was like, he went up to Pippen and he was basically like so uplifted, like, all right, like we're ready to win, blah, 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 blah. He's so excited to have Pippen there. And Pippen was like, shit, man, I'm just here to get paid. Like for him going back to Chicago that final year was getting what he deserved. Like money-wise, he wanted to take the Bulls' money once before it was all over. So he signed a 1-year deal, took their money, didn't do much statistically, and called it a career.
Neither ended up being possible. The team was bad, which is never a recipe for harmony. When the new GM, former Pippen teammate John Paxson, fired the coach, former Pippen teammate Bill Cartwright, Pippen checked out. He hit the injured list after only 23 games and thought Paxson took that personally. And when the Bulls tried to defer some of Pippen's salary, well, there was a bit too much history with the team shortchanging him for Scottie to let that one go. And while we're currently speaking in a very sad manner about a sad situation, a seemingly irrevocable relationship between a star and his team, let's take a second to remember that in the 1990s, the Bulls won 6 championships.
Yep.
I mean, what the hell? That's too many. Share. Or have flaws. But actually, that's the thing. They had flaws. That's what we've been talking about. The literal hatred, the insulting contract, the purposely waiting to have surgery during the regular season. But none of that messed up their ring count. It's ridiculous. Pippen might not forgive the Bulls, but there's a golden lining to this beef, and it's made of Larry O'Brien trophies.
Man, another great one. What a great part 2. Oh, man. You know, I just got done watching The Last Dance a couple of weeks ago, and now all of a sudden, I'm tempted to go back and start it again, because these stories are crazy. All the while this is going on, and the freaking Bulls are stacking championships left and right. I don't know. The only thing I can compare it to a little bit would be all the drama going on in LA between Shaq and Kobe, yet they're just winning. But that did come to an end. The Bulls' reign did not come to an end. The organization blew up the team. So there was no telling how much further it could have gone. But I think Pippen might have been the wild card. If they didn't pay Pippen a shit ton of money, I don't think even if they brought back Phil and MJ and Rodman and Kukoc and all these guys, I don't know that Pippen would have stuck around anymore. So he might have just left out of spite at that point. But then again, if they had that money free and they can sign somebody else, Jordan was still good enough to do this. I don't know. We'll never know. It's one of those stories that'll never sit right. We'll never get to know what could have been. But 6 championships, 6 for 6 is pretty damn good. All right, everybody. I'm going to get out of here for tonight. I appreciate you watching. Those of you who watched both parts, man, you're the real goats out there. I appreciate it a lot. Yeah, I'll see you all in the comments. But in the meantime, have a wonderful night. Be good to your people. Tell your loved ones you love them. And be safe, but have some fun, all right? Peace out, everybody.